Hey guys, it's Ellen here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're painting water lilies. This is really simple. I go over this step by step. I show you how I draw it. If you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. If you're not a Patreon member, you can go and check out the link on my description box and my about page. I also have a little bloop, little thing in the corner here, and you can click on that in a few minutes. That will lead you to it if you want to check it out. But I go over this step by step. And very simple painting technique, and it's just a great effect. It's just something fun to do on a Saturday if you're bored and you don't know what to do. Don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials are up. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to go over supplies. I have a piece of Arches 100% cotton cold pressed paper. It's 6 by 9 inch. I taped it with Scotch tape on just a piece of cheap cardboard. I have already sketched out what I'm going to do. I have a paper towel, my palette is here, my water jars, and my paints. I go over them as I use them. I'm going to be using some of this bright rose today. This is a bright rose, Holbein, beautiful color. Maybe some verditer blue, and the typical quinachradone magenta, and cadmium yellow deep, some peacock blue. I like to use, I have olive green watercolor, but I have olive green gouache I like to mix in. I can water it down just like watercolor, and I love the brightness of it. So that's that. And I'll probably start with my Grumbacher number 10 Golden Edge Series brown brush. If you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. But if you're not, you know, if it's just the water lilies, you guys can create your own water lilies. They're pretty simple. I mean, water lilies just look like this. Flowers. I'm going to see if I can draw a better one with a black marker. Just kind of like these spiky, kind of like an aloe plant actually, right? And like that. And then the water lilies are like these ovals with a little dent in them. And you just kind of go around like this. Make the little dents. It makes some small water lilies. So you don't have to follow exactly how I'm doing it. I'm just going to show you how because it's just going to be real loose, very like impressionistic style painting. I have a water lilies I did a while ago. I think it's a demo though. So I decided to do another one that was not a demo. So see how I just drew that pretty quickly actually. You know, you're just doing these oval shapes with a little indentation. But really, even if I sketched it on my paper, the way I paint it won't even matter that I sketched it out. I'm kind of just sketching it for reference of where I want to put the water lilies. And I'm going to make these water lilies like a nice bright pink. Of course the pads would be like in their green tones and whatnot. For the pink, I'm using this bright rose. I have my water jars up here. And actually I might use my Princeton 8 long round because they're kind of pointy and I don't want to use the grumbacher for that. So I've got my Princeton 8 long round brush. I've got my bright rose paint. Just going to water that down, as you see here. It's such a bright color. Look at that on the napkin. Really intense. I love it. I'm going to water it down a little bit more because we want the back of the water lily to be lighter than the front. So I water it down. I'm just going to paint in real quickly with these spikes. It can be kind of layered. See? Just throw those in really quick. I've got one over here that's kind of on its side. Little spikes. See? It's really simple. Another one out here. I'm going to go this real fast. Excuse me. My voice is just... I'm tired. I could barely get up today. And there's a little one back here. And then I have another little teeny one. I like to do things in odd numbers. It's kind of a thing my dad taught me. He's a fine artist, by the way. Better to have things in odd numbers. Although this might be even. I'm going to have to put another one somewhere else. Because I noticed this is the 5th one. And I had a little pinky one over here. So that would make it 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to have to change that up and add another little one somewhere else. And see, this is why you don't need to necessarily have a sketch. Just think, I'll just put one back here. Right over those pads. You can have even numbers if you want to. But like with birds and things, you want to just kind of keep them. If like birds in the sky, like an ocean scene, like 3 to 5. I don't know who came up with that. I have to look into that. It's kind of a thing. So I'm just flushing in the pink. The reflection of the pink on the water is going to be down here too. That's a little too intense. Water that. Take some of that watercolor off. So it's in the water, but it's reflecting back into the water here. And we do have like a little yellow center on some of these. Stamen. Put a little one here. Not everywhere, just a few of them. Just a little bit of yellow. So you see how pale that pink is when I let that dry like that? Now I'm going to go back and grab my grumbacher. Because we want a rounded brush for all these lily pads. And we want them to do them in different tones of greens. And you can add some blues. And blue is going to be in the water too. We're going to make it blue and purple. We're going to have fun with it. So I got some of this bright green that I used the watered down the olive green gouache, but I can mix the olive green watercolor. And I'll show you the difference. Here's the olive green watercolor. I'm just going to throw that in. Actually, it's more like this. It's like it is like an olive green, but it's, a little more brown tinge to it. And we're just going to throw these colors in. See, I'm just pushing that paintbrush into that shape. It's basically an oval shape. I don't even think you need to draw this in. You can just kind of push the brush. Now they all wouldn't be the same color, right? It'd be kind of crazy. As some of them are wet, you can go in and grab some, like here's the vandyke brown. Gonna activate it, get a little wet. You can just kind of tap some brown into it, on the end. You could tap some, I have some Prussian blue and peacock blue. Just tap it. That's a little too much. But you're just tapping in some extra colors. You see how it just changed that whole entire look? So while it's still wet, I'm going to tap that Prussian blue. You can mix up a bunch of different green colors too. That would help. A little darker green. So I've got that olive green color. I'll put some indigo and Prussian blue next to it. Some vandyke brown. I've got this really deep green. You see that? I'm just going to go and put some deeper green ones. Some of the pads could be yellow. They're changing color. See that? And you want to make that little, it's just bright brown. You make a little darker brown, a little vandyke brown to that. See, I'm adding some darker tone ones. Sporadically throughout the other way. But I'm just painting it on its side. You see, I'm not doing anything special. See that? You're just filling that in. Like I said, add some more yellow to some of them. Yellow, bright yellow, green. Got the cadmium yellow deep. Can even add some yellow ones out here. We want this really fun and pretty. You want to paint the lighter colors first because you could paint the darker and then put the lighter in, but it's better to paint the lighter and then put the dark over because that's how watercolor kind of works. I'm adding in some yellow. I'm just sporadically putting those colors in, see? I'm going to keep filling in my little lily pads. We're just going to keep doing the pads till we feel satisfied that we like our pads. Some could blend into another. See how this bleeds? And that's perfectly fine because it gives it a nice look. It's just different. And look how fast this is. I'm not, I'm doing this in real time, guys. Real time. Just washing, throwing in the paint. I think too many people get caught on painting a circle like this. Don't! Just go like this. Just throw that paint in. Go back on top of the ones you just did. Put some other ones back here. It's already looking great, right? Add a little green to that yellow. some dark green ones back here. I add some Prussian blue. Gonna add some vandyke brown. Get some nice deep dark pads back here. The dark, deep part of the water. You can still put some of that dark color while some of these are wet, which we talk about, you know, making the pads have a little more interest. Just like that. A little dark in here. This one has like a little V. We talked about how the drawing, how the pad can go like this, or the inside of this pad. So you're going to paint that color, and then you're going to paint that inside maybe if it's a highlighted dark color right in there. Just going to punch it right up. That's a little trick. See with a little inside. Look at that. Just look at that. See, I'm putting a little dark color underneath. Just going to light it right up. I'm just going to go in and fill in all these little pads. Like I said, I sketched it in. You have that sketch if you're a Patreon member. Thank you very much if you're a Patreon. Support my channel. I appreciate it so much. Because YouTube doesn't support it. Well, you know, YouTube's good, but Patreon really supports the channel. It was actually created by a YouTuber who he had people who liked his channel, but it wasn't like some of these huge channels. And you know, if you're not a huge channel, it's literally impossible to make good money off of YouTube. So he created Patreon where people could be a patron of him, and he created special things on Patreon so people could donate money, or he would give t-shirts, or you know, like I do, I give tutorials, whatever. They have podcasts. So actually it's kind of cool that it was created by a YouTuber. That's probably why it's synced with YouTube. Some things you try and put into YouTube, they won't let you. So links or whatever. I'm rambling, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to explain what it's all about, what Patreon's about. And I was very reluctant to do a Patreon for a long time. And people kept on asking me, so I did one. I bowed. No, I'm kidding. I enjoy it. I do feel a little pressure, though. It's a lot of pressure. So I'm trying not to be pressurized. So here I'm just throwing in more green color tones. La la la. As I'm chit-chatting away with you guys, and you're probably sipping your coffee. Hey, what do you guys think about if I did a YouTube vlog? You know what a vlog is? A vlog is a video blog. Not about art, because I think I cannot do another darn art channel. I'm sorry. Just kind of like a day-to-day chit-chat. You know, what's going on, what's on my mind, what I'm doing, what I'm cooking, the dog is doing, you know, what I like, what I dislike, renovating or home decor, things like that. If you think it's something you would not be interested in, no problem. If you think it is, please let me know in the comments, because I don't want to waste my time if people are going to think it's stupid. So again, I'm going in and adding, see, I'm just mixing the greens and the yellows. I've got that cadmium yellow deep. I'm going to go back over this one. Concentrated. You can just change that color of that green instantly by adding a yellow. See, I'm just clean up my brush. Take the yellow itself, even though I have green next to it, and go right on top of the green, and you've completely changed it, right? Vice versa with blue. I've got the peacock blue here. And change that blue pad. So I want you to play around. See, this is very more impressionistic style. We're just throwing in color, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, no rhyme and reason. And this is just, I think it's kind of great therapy, monotonous. Like, not monotonous, but like, there's no thinking behind it, serious thinking. You're just kind of throwing in color. Color is my jam. I love that little hashtag because it kind of is my jam. Like when I got out of college, I was hired from Children's Wear Company to be a colorist. I know, what a job, right? What is a colorist? You were the ones, because believe it or not, we had a man, that company I worked for had a merchandise lady who was colorblind. How do you work in the design industry being colorblind? It's beyond me. See, you can see all the varying degrees of colors. It's kind of looking to nice space, nice space, nice space. See that? Nice space. we're going to have to go in and just change that. We're going to be rebel. Going to add peacock blue to the screen, and then I'm going to go in here. I want to crowd it up a little more. Looking too nice spacey, right? With our little pads. Nice space, nice space. Going to add some brown ones. Brownish green. You want to get rid of some of that nice space, nice space. It was looking too cookie cutter-ish, not really unique. And go back out here. Add some nice blue. And then we're going to be doing the blue for the water in a bit. After we finish some of the greens, I'm going to go back into our cute little flowers. Okay, I think I'm just done with the greens for now. So, I'm taking the other brush again, the Princeton 8 long round velvet touch, and taking that rose, putting some water in there, a little bit less water than before, and then going in. This is really bright. I'm going to turn it down just a bit, maybe add a little yellow. Oops. Yeah. Okay. It's not as intense. It's intense, but it's not like this bright fuchsia-y kind of. Okay. Gonna add the other layer of the pink. So the really light one will shine in the back. We're doing those V's in the front. And then add some darker ones coming down in the bottom. This is the reflecting one on the bottom. You can get even a little bit darker up here too. Again, the darker ones here. It's like another layer, because that would be the outer one would be the light one, and the inner, the back side, it's going to be darker. So the inner layer is lighter, and the darker layer is the outside backside. And then we go like this. Again, you see me just putting in that darker color. If it's still not dark enough, you can just keep going in and adding some more color. Just play around with that. I'm just going to go add a little more pink. So I'm just going to go through all that. I don't want to make your life monotonous by doing all this. But you see what I mean. Okay, so I flushed in that color. I'm going to add like another darker color, kind of like almost like a brown tone. So I've grabbed my Van Dyke brown with that pretty pink, because we're in the shadows here. I'm going to add like a little shadow one that's lifting up. It'll be like this one. See? A little darker. And then this one on the side. I gotta get a little too pink. I want to add more brown. Just like that. Add a little brown to this one. That's still wet, so it's really tricky. But it's like the last one in the back, because it's many layers of this lily pad flower. And a little black brownish color in here. And then same here. So you got that many layers of this lily pad flower. And I'm going to go back in and add a little more of this pink color. Hold on. I'm going to mix in the pink with the yellow, so it's not as bright as before. It's kind of a layering situation here with the flower. Gonna keep going in and adding like another layer, so it feels like that flower is kind of opened up. But don't get too bogged down by it. You know, it looks like a lily pad flower. It's a lily pad flower. I'm not gonna stress out about it. Now I'm gonna take the grumbacher. I'm gonna just take up some of my favorite towels, some of these crazy blues and stuff I've been doing over here. And this pink. We're going to make some blues and some purples. And I'm going to grab my indigo. Where are you? Here you are. Indigo's in here. It's hard to show you guys all the colors and then the painting, because then something's got to give, right? Either you're not going to see the painting close, or you're not going to see the colors. So I'm trying to do my best to get it all in there, but it's not that easy. So I'm going to make some purples. So I've got the pink. I'm going to put some peacock blue. Look at that. Instantaneously make the purple. I love that purple color. It's pretty. It's like the bluish purple. I'm going to water it down a bit. And this is what we're going to do throughout this whole part now. Just going to make these, you know, it's the water, but we're going to make it impressionistic looking. See? Just going like this. Simple lines. Look at that purple. Very intense. We'll be adding, excuse me, some blues and whatnot to it. But right now, we're just going to throw in some purple. All throughout all those white areas that you see. You don't have to do it every single spot. Already it's looking like Monet, right? Now, if you're having difficulty, you're going to go over this spiky part. You don't want to go over the spiky part. You could have put masking fluid over it. Just going to be conscious of like not getting painting over that. I had thought about doing that, putting masking fluid over it, but then I'm like, you know, nobody has it, and how you have to work around it sometimes is like this. You go in and just paint right in between those petals, just like I did there. And then you could be grabbing your indigo and bleeding that in right next to that petal, so it's highlighted right there, right? And then add, so you have watered down some indigo and just go in like that. It already is looking like a little mini painting, right? So the indigo, because I want this part kind of to be darker with a few bright spots. So we have this other blue I love, which is called the verditer blue. It's like a periwinkle blue. I know, see, it's hard to show all the blues. It's gotten to look like a little messy puddle over here, but that's okay. I'm going to put that verditer blue. Look how pretty that blue is. And now I'm just doing these like wiggle lines. So you could do this little marks like that, and you can go in and do some wiggle lines. Different ways to do it. I'm going to be adding this nice pretty verditer blue. I can't talk today, I'm sorry. A lot going on. Let's see how I'm just wiggling that. Because we can actually just flush it in too, and then go back over it with all the other blues. Different ways to do it. You can do the wiggly lines and constantly just putting a new color. You can throw in this nice pretty blue. Gonna throw it in up here. Already you're having this Monet kind of day. Monet day. Boston has the Monet show at the MFA, Museum of Fine Arts. And we went and saw it in November, and thank God we did, because they shut down everything again in December or January. So people had those tickets, couldn't really see it, and they just reopened it again, and I don't know how they're going to fix the tickets because they were sold out throughout the whole entire month. And you know what? When I bought the tickets, I was kind of mad. I wanted to see it around Christmas time. And then they shut it down, so you couldn't see it. So I was very lucky. Boston has the greatest collection of Monet there is. But now they've just had this show where they've had some ones that I've never seen before. I've seen Monet in Paris. I've seen Monet many places. And New York, obviously. And then here in Boston. See, I'm just putting the blue as I'm talking to you all around here. Look at that. Already it's like this pretty impressionistic painting. Like I said, you just go in and flush in the blue. This blue verditer is so pretty. Such a great color. Holbein makes such beautiful colors. Sorry guys, I'm just like, if you're used to a certain color and style, or brand, that's fine. I'm used to this brand. I love this brand. I did use the Princeton, but I'm telling you, sorry, nothing beats it. And I've used some other ones too. I've been asked if I would use some of these other ones are real expensive. And I'm just like, you know what? I just don't see the point. I think if you want to be a classically trained watercolorist, knock yourself out. But most people here on YouTube are not. I'm saying people coming here want to just learn how to paint with watercolor and move the paint around. If you want a serious watercolor class, well, you would take it in college. So here we go like that. Okay, so I'm just filling in. You see all those pretty blues? And then you go back in with some deeper ones. Now I'm taking the indigo right from the tube here. A little bit of water. See, because this is all wet. The reason why you do those little marks, because if it's wet, it's going to bleed. See, it's doing the bleeding thing. Which is fine. But we're going to just keep going like this. Because now this section we want dark. Not everything's going to be this beautiful, pretty light blue. So it's going to make those spider lines. And we really don't necessarily want that in this painting, do we? But since most of this color I really wanted was dark in the first place, it's not going to bother me. And I just keep going back in, adding in some tube, right out of the tube, indigo. And then the lighter underneath painting will just shine right through, kind of as a highlight. That's what we're going to do. And look at how they just changed that water all together. Now, like I said, you could have kept the really light blues, but I'm going in and adding this dark blue. And see how we painted the lily pads first and the flower first. You're going to go with the dark color over that. You can't really paint with watercolor the opposite way. You can with gouache, you can with acrylic, you can paint light on dark. You can't do that with watercolor. So that's why you paint the light colors first, and then you go back on top with your dark colors. And I'm not really concentrating on making sure the pad's specifically in its shape. I'm just going around it, hoping that you can decipher that it's a pad, a lily pad, and going in all these little areas with the dark blue. But that completely changed the painting, didn't it? I mean, I liked it before too. So if you wanted to keep it that way, you can, but I'm showing the darkness of the water. And I'm going to have it pretty dark all up in here. So that's going to have a little boop to differentiate the water's coming through there. Right in there. And boop. That's the shadow. That's the reflection. And then I'm just taking this dark. And you're still seeing the purple and the pale blue. And I'm still going to keep going down here too. I'm going to leave this section really light. I'm going to go back over here with the dark. Completely changing the painting. I just threw you for a loop. You weren't expecting this. This is just indigo paint. I didn't mix it with anything. This is straight from the tube. Indigo. You want to keep this part reflecting white, light. So you want to squint your eyes. I might have gone a little overboard in here. I should have kept it light in there. This last one, but that's okay. Gonna keep it mostly light over there. Right in here, this section. And still just taking the indigo from the tube, going very carefully around this pink bloom. And if it's difficult for you to do that, it's a good thing to use the masking fluid. So at this point, instead of watching me paint all the blue, you can still keep it lighter up here. I will add a few darker sprays of color back here. It's just gonna highlight those flowers much better. Deep dark blue right next to those pretty blooms. You really see them. See how they just come alive? Otherwise it's kind of like just floating in the water. But now you really see the blooms. Right? Adding that dark blue painting right around all those little spikes. That one got kind of messed up, but that's okay. It's an impressionistic look painting. Make sure you don't just paint around the blooms with the dark blue and then that's it. Like, you have to make sure that makes sense. So you had to have the dark water coming here. Right? Otherwise it looks kind of goofy. Like, why would that be dark? So the sun source could be coming from here. And you got a little bit over here too. So we're going to go back in here, kind of just kill some of this bright color. Leave some of it, but kill most of it. Get even darker. See, it's going right from the tube. It gets really dark. Right from the tube. So using a good fair amount of paint for this. And that's it. And then I'm going to go grab that pretty purple again. Not the indigo. The purple was made with the rose and the peacock. So they're both intensely bright colors. It just makes that really pretty purple. You can go in here and add some really deep purples. Purpley blue. All in those white spaces. You can leave some white spaces. Now here I might have gone a trickle overboard, but I'm going to go and just add a couple of these dark indigo marks. Mostly keeping that light. But I guess you guys weren't expecting that, huh? You probably like the lighter color. And you could leave it that way. That beautiful blue that's down here mixed with some of that purple. Just changing it up. So I think I'm going to stop with my indigo. I know I probably frightened you guys. Why did she do that? That's how I roll. And add some of this pretty blue up here. And you could just paint right over in these crevices that are white if you want to. Get that purple again up in here. But see how simple this was? Like I said, you didn't have to go so dark like me. You didn't have to be a wild child. If you feel like, oh, I went too dark and how do I get some of that paint off, you can take just a brush with some clear water on it, right? And just try and remove it. Make it a little lighter. Just like that. Right? You can grab your paper towel at that point too. And you made it a little bit lighter, but it's a little bit tricky, so you can just go back in here. Right? Add your water. Grab your paper towel. And it leaves kind of like a nice texture too. And then you can go in and add some of that pretty pale blue, purple color. If you didn't want so much indigo. You can actually take that rose and go right in here. Right on top, and you get that purple. And then you can go and add back in some dark lines that you see fit. And that's pretty much it. I'm just going to take this flat brush down that I have in my hand, and I'm just going to tweak, adding in some darker tones back here where this pads are. So we add that dark indigo right underneath those pads back here. It's just going to pull them right up, highlight them. And that's about it. So this is how simple a watercolor lily pad can be. And you just go in and you tweak again the purple right in here with this lily pad. Purple in here. Adding some more of this nice pretty purple. You can get the purple even darker. See? Darker purple. Don't go too crazy. And then I'm adding a little more purple out here. And again, I'm just gonna go around this lily pad flower so you can see it. There. Kind of just filling in the edges here a little bit. Gonna add some purple. So you want to have, I particularly want to have a white edge when I pull off the tape. It's kind of like its own little mini frame. Also, another trick. You can just take like this pink that I have here, right from the tube, and go over. See that? It just changes that blue to a vibrant purple. Take this verditer blue right from the tube. Go right in there. The pink goes right in there. And there you go, you know. You have your pretty water lilies. So I think that's pretty much it. And if you made a mistake, you know, again, this is the best thing to have. Where are you, Mr. Gouache? Okay. So if you made a mistake over here and you're like, oh, it's so dark, I don't have any white little highlights, take some white gouache. It's a little cheap. You grab it, put some water in it, and kind of dab it with a paper towel, take off excess. And just add some white highlights that you think you need if you messed up, right? If you went too wild. That's all. That's all you gotta do. And if you make the paint a little more translucent, the other colors can come shining through. See a little trick? Oh yeah. All you need is that one white gouache in your repertoire. See? Go back over in here. Doing like a dry brush technique. And you've got those highlights that you might have missed that you want back. And play around with it. But that's pretty much it. So let's just peel it up and see how it looks. The beauty. That water lily. Wow, that tape came up pretty fast today. Voila. Masterpiece. See how easy that was though, guys? It looks really pretty good, right? So this is a cute little exercise for Saturday if you're looking for something pretty to paint, if you're inspired by the Impressionistics. And like I show you many times, I'm doing it again. See if you messed up the greens and you want them a little brighter, just take some yellow, just go right on top of that. And it changes it. And you can even put some yellows right in here, you know. As I'm looking at my painting, I'm like, oh, I want a little bit brighter. Go right back over that. Just look how that just changed in 2 seconds. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials are up. If you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable, but pretty much I showed you that's pretty easy, guys. You can do this. And yeah, that's it. And have a great weekend, guys. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon.